Welcome back to Port Elizabeth, the beautiful city. This is part 35. We start with a plaque, which would have been on the base of a statue that has been stolen. So we're in Settlers Park. And let me just go back a few steps. So in November 2014, my nephew Dylan Weir and son Luke decided to participate in the annual birding big day. They're big bird watchers. And so I went with them, and we went to Settlers Park first and then to Cape Recife. So we start here in Settlers Park, where I was disappointed and rather disillusioned to find that this little, there was a statue here. It was a miniature, really, of a larger one of the 1820 settlers in Grahamstown. Settler father, mother, and two children, I think it was, standing in those sort of period clothes. Anyway, there was a nice copy of it here, which has been removed, and it was all overgrown, and the plaque reads, 1820 Memorial Settlers Association of South Africa presented to the city in commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the landing of the British settlers on the 10th of April 1820. So that's when my great whatever grandparents arrived, 10th of April 1820. That's how it looks. So the statue stood here. The car park. It was getting to quite hot summer, so yeah, Settlers Park. So as I established in my book, 200 Years of Port Elizabeth, the land was set aside for the Settlers Park, which is in the Barklands Valley, in 1932. So that's when they decided to establish this place as a park, which is a superb idea because it's a green lung in the middle of a city. And it was named Settlers Park in 1952. So I think, well, I don't know why it took them so long, but anyway, that's the history of it. And there was a bench, Bob's bench, stood here but has disappeared. I don't know who Bob was. Oh wait, there is a bench. That was the bench. It was a stone bench. And this is a plaque to Dr. Sidney Kaywood, 1914 to 87. And that tower there, which I objected to when it was built, but to no avail. Lovely views, except for those who have to look at it. So then I followed my son and nephew as they set about trying to see as many birds as they could, and we just wandered through Settlers Park. You don't feel quite as threatened when you're with two young men in their 20s. And there they are, ahead of me. Yeah, so they're in the park, they've ring-barked all these exotic gum trees and planted indigenous stuff like, I can't remember the species right now, but yeah, they're trying to eradicate the exotics and put in just indigenous. which is a good idea. However, these dead trees are often where one catches the odd bird perched high up. So we did the contour path initially on the northern banks, and that's Dylan heading through. Quite like this photograph, it's sort of quite atmospheric. Yeah, it's a long time since this was probably the last time I walked through this park. I must have seen about 100 species in Settlers Park. I think these are coral trees. You can imagine in a wildish place like this, the number of birds that are resident. This is perfect for birding. And you've got the river, so you've got all these river species as well. Weaver nests, you get various species, including the thick-billed weaver, which builds its nest kind of between reeds, attaches to two reeds and then builds a nest in between. Yeah, and then obviously birds on the water. Even a little waterfall there, a weir, I think. So peaceful here in the park. And then the first of our weir crossings. Then there's a little path that runs right next to the river. And you often get kingfishers along here. And woodpeckers. Yep. Another weir. I think this one might have washed away during one of the floods. Unfortunately, this river gets polluted. Sewage malfunctions further up the river, and So this was a place, I think we focused on who built this when and for what purpose. It is like a lecture, outdoor lecture place. So you all sit around and somebody gives you a talk in the memory of somebody. Fred Holland, 1874 to 1955. A lover of, I think it's a lover of nature and so forth. He must have been instrumental in establishing the park. Lovely use of stone there. As an architectural object, it's quite beautiful. And lovely tree here. I'm trying to remember. Yellowwood. Yeah, this is definitely a yellowwood tree with this flaky bark. And the Neisner Lurie loves yellowwood for some reason. So for birders, you can see that there's a variety of sort of types of habitat here for birds. Another weir. And you get the dussies climbing up here, rock rabbits they're called, dussies. And some dead blue gums, some not so dead. Yeah, birding isn't like hiking. It's a leisurely pace, and you're often doing it very quietly to not alert the birds to your presence. Yeah, you get your reed warblers in these reeds as well. So it looked like we had had good rain ahead of this walk. I think that is actually a bird, I think. Red bishop, possibly. Yeah, on this rock face cliff over here, we get quite a lot of interesting stuff. I think we're heading back towards where the car is. Eucalyptus trees, yeah. Okay. So it is a nature reserve, this. And that's warmer on the other side of the valley there. And then looking down the valley. This is an interesting place, Anglo-Boer War trenches on this slope. And that was Cape Road section. And the other man are doing the Captain Morgan. They both went to Rhodes University. You can tell. So heading back to the car, which was still there, parked there somewhere. There's a nice view from the top down onto the river. Yeah. This is the car park. The river. And we walked around this way and around there. Yeah. Then we drove down to the beachfront and stopped for some petrol, I think. And that's the Red Windmill Roadhouse. It used to be the Roadhouse right here. And the Shark Rock Pier is just beyond there. And we stopped at Cape Recife, where there is this place called Samric. I think it's got a new name now, but it's where they rehabilitate penguins and other birds that are injured by oil spills or debilitated. Quite a nice building. Often threatened by fire when this brush here catches alight. So the Cape Recife Lighthouse, 1851, is at the end of this peninsula. It's a nature reserve of 366 hectares. And I wonder if we should stop at this point and we'll come back to the Cape Recife Nature Reserve next.